Hey!
So, as we said, we're doing something different today. Welcome in Elliot's kitchen, my future kitchen. So, you can see Elliot's shirt, and it's because we're gonna do something real Polish today. We're gonna be making pierogi!
Woo! Fun fact number one for today, pierogi are kind of considered like the national dish of Poland. But at the same time, nobody knows where they came from. I've done a lot of historical research, and people kind of generally assume they came somewhere further east in Europe. There are a lot of legends dating back to the 13 and 1400s about some saint from Kiev that then moved to Poland and brought pierogi with him, but that's just the legends, nobody can confirm it. But they're one of the most classic traditional Polish foods, and they are delicious.
Yes, and you can do so many different kinds. We have sweet and
savory.
Mm-hmm. I want it to be salty and
that's how you say it in Polish.
So the sweet ones we usually do like strawberries, cherries, blueberries with then on the top with the cream.
Yep.
Yeah, and things like that. I actually don't like it because I don't like it smooshy, but a lot of Poles do. And I'm more of a savory kind of gal. And today we're going to be making spinach pierogis because we both love it and they're quite easy to make.
Yes, they are.
To make the spinach pierogis, you need a couple of ingredients. First of all, spinach. I have around 900 grams. Somewhere here Elliot will put all the things, so watch on those. I have 3 onions, some garlic, and feta cheese. All those things are important. And for a dough, you basically just need flour, some hot water, salt, and oil. So we're gonna show you that later. The ratio that I'm doing is just kind of whatever. I always wing it. I don't actually have a recipe because I did it a million times, so but that's basically how I like to do it. So what I do, instead of actually cutting the onions, because who likes cutting onions? Then what I do is just take off the skin with the knife and however you want, and if you have this kind of thingy, this is what, food processor? Yeah, if you have a food processor this big or smaller or bigger, whatever, you cut all, both of the ends from the onion, just cut it in quarters and put it in like that, who cares? And you do it with all of them, and then you press the food processor for literally less than 10 seconds, and you have all the onions cut. So if you have more than 2, I highly recommend that hack. My friend taught me that, so it's awesome. So when you finally cry your eyes out because it's still onion, it still sucks, I just put the cover on. You will have nightmare with the audio, but who cares? And Elliot, I'll show you. Ready?
Go.
And you have cut onion. So that's it. Now you're gonna smażyć, fry it or
Sauté.
Sauté it. Now you're gonna sauté it and start working on other stuff. Oh yes.
And you can tell how about I'm your assistant or something.
So my assistant here is doing dishes, as you can see. It's awesome. Highly recommend, 10 out of 10. How you feel as my assistant?
It's great. It's the best job in the world.
Whoop whoop. Now when you have your onion, you take the garlic. For this amount of spinach, I would use the whole garlic head. Is this oh, noise. So I'm just gonna peel it.
So, I'm back. Time for fun fact number 2. We have 2 very different favorite kinds of pierogi. Mine, they're both savory. My favorite kind is with meat and a little bit of onion and a lot of spice. And Gabby's favorite kind, they're called Russian.
Russian pierogis, which is ruskie pierogi in Polish.
The real fun fact about Russian pierogi, they don't come from Russia. Just like the history of pierogi, and nobody really knows where they came from. Nobody's really sure about the name of the Russian pierogi either, but they're Gabby's favorite.
Yeah.
But we compromise and do the spinach with feta because...
Yeah, we both love it, so yeah.
Exactly.
And the Russian pierogis, if you're wondering, they have inside potatoes, they have cheese, but white cheese.
Polish cheese is very different than American cheese. I'm not even gonna try to explain going either direction.
Kind of like a cheese that we use for a cheesecake. It goes there. So that's that, and you do so much onion and just a lot of bit of salt and a little bit of pepper, and basically that's it. And it's delicious.
They're her favorite.
Especially with tons of butter after you cook it on top of it. It's awesome. In case you're wondering why I'm cooking, not because I'm a woman, not because I know how to cook them, is because with Elliot we have a system that each 1 week I cook 2 meals for a whole week, and then Elliot does that, and we switch back and forth. And this is my second meal, so we also decided to record it for you guys. So that's why we're here. So also one thing that I forgot to mention, if you're using frozen spinach, which I highly recommend because it's easier to work with and doesn't disappear as a fresh one. Just make sure that you take it out so it has time to thaw. Thaw. Woo! That's a new word that I learned. So yeah, remember about that in the beginning. Mine is sitting here. It's still a brick that you can kill with, but we'll figure it out. So when you have your either cut garlic, or as I did, is just blend it. You just add it to the onion, which is turning a little bit brownish, which is perfect, and you let it sit there for a second. Here are the nice bricks of spinach, and you can just put it in. If you have different, in the small thingies, you can also put it in right away, and just use the cover so it can just be hot there, and it's gonna defrost and be nice and moldable. So yeah.
Fun fact number 3, Gabby mentioned that one of her least favorite kind of pierogi are actually the sweet ones, but me, in classic American style, see something with so much sugar and really great fruit, and I think this makes an amazing dessert. It is dumplings with fruit and sauce, basically like a tiny little pie with cream on the top of it, and it's amazing. However, Poles that eat sweet pierogi eat that as a normal meal, which then makes sense as to why it's not your favorite.
Yeah, and also we do a lot of those, like crepes with sweet stuff. We eat it as a whole meal, so we often tend to do that. So yeah.
But cherry pierogi with a little bit of ice cream or some sort of icing.
Ice cream? You have eaten cherry pierogis?
Yes, I've eaten the cherry pierogis that you made me with ice cream once.
What?
Yes. They're wonderful.
I love you.
Love you too.
So, fun fact about me, I was in a cooking school, which I'll explain what it is.
Yes, so Polish high schools look very different than American high schools. Obviously, we all know what an American high school looks like, and there's something similar to that, which in Poland is kind of like a general formation school, basically, but there are also things called technikums, which is, think of something halfway between a high school blended with a trade school. Students in technicum have a specific track, things like engineering or economics or programming, and they follow those specific classes all throughout high school so that when they graduate, they can either continue on to study something or go straight into that field.
Yeah, so I did that, and I was in a cooking school. To be honest, I didn't learn a lot because when I was a kid, I was also cooking with my grandma all the time and things like that. So I always loved it, but it was really fun to be there. And one really important thing that I learned from them is that you clean as you go. As sometimes annoying it is, as you can see, we are kind of clean here. The dishes are done because I have a handsome assistant that does that, and I pay him well. with love and affection.
There we go.
So yeah, this is one fun tip. Or like have a bowl for all the leftovers as you cut things. This is also amazing help to clean everything, to help keep everything clean.
There we go.
There we go. So yeah, that's a fun thing number something.
Absolutely.
From me.
We'll figure it out. Okay, next fun fact. Pierogi are seeing kind of a like craft revival in Poland right now. Think of things that burgers have gone through in the States over the last 5 years. Like you can go to these restaurants and get things like buffalo meat and goat cheese and like blackberry currant or something on top of the burger, and it's great. Pierogi are doing the same thing, and one of my favorites that I have ever tried is salmon with a cream sauce on the inside. When we were up on the coast last summer on the Baltic Sea, and Gabby hates fish, hence the reaction. However, to me, they were one of the best things I've ever eaten.
If something looks different, we had to switch batteries. I'm not doing the dough now because I have like prepared stuff, but you want it to be fresh and really warm and hot as you work, because it needs to be really delicate, and the more you work it, the more it sits. It's just gonna get like worse and worse, basically. So that's why I'm waiting, and it's just on purpose. And with the spinach, you don't want the lid all the time, just in the beginning, because then it's gonna create more water, and you want it kind of as dry as possible, because if you have a lot of liquid when you do the dumplings, everything is gonna spill out and it's gonna be hard to make it stick and things like that. So make sure that after some time you just let it out without the lid, so it's like getting rid of that water at least a little bit.
Okay, so Gabby's still working on the spinach, and while she's doing that, if you've got a minute, let us know what you think about this. Are you guys having fun making pierogi with us? And if you like this kind of concept as a video, there's a lot of really good Polish food that we would love to teach you guys how to make.
And also, if you just want to watch us struggle or just do Polish stuff and not make them, which is kind of the person I am, you can also let us know that.
Absolutely.
And we can do more of those. And with the spinach, you need to be really aware how you spice it, because if you don't spice it well, it's gonna taste like grass and nobody will like it. So one thing to remember, it needs way more salt than you think, but don't dump it at once, but give some quite a lot in the beginning, like even a spoonful, and then wait a little bit so it like soaks in, and then just add more, but also be aware that we're going to be adding the feta cheese, which is also quite salty, so don't over salt it, but also put enough salt so it has taste. And you can add also some amount of pepper, not pepper,
Yes, pepper.
black pepper,
Yes,
pepper.
that works.
So yeah, I'm gonna do it right now, and it's gonna be almost ready. So I have my spinach here. I'm cutting feta cheese, opening feta cheese. What I like to do is just cut the like here, and then you just on the sides, cut one side, cut second side, and you have that like opening, and you have a whole feta without any problems. Okay. Whoop. We have whole feta cheese. And so yeah, and with the spinach, as I said, you don't want it to be crazy wet, but would show it's like you can have a little bit of like pools of tiny bit water, and it should be moist. It shouldn't be dry, but at the same time, it cannot be swimming like a soup in water. So yeah, and here's how you cut feta. If you've never done that, you cut it in 3 parts here. If your knife is not sliding, you can put a little bit of oil and just like rub it in, and that will for sure help. And so you have 3 slices. Now we're gonna do, we will see, 1, I think 5, I'm guessing, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It doesn't need to be perfect. It's gonna be still like all mixed up. And now you just cut dices, and from time to time you can put some, and that's how you do it. You add spinach, you mix it up. One thing I would recommend to do now is just take a little bit with feta and without feta and just try it if it's salty enough and if it's not over salty. And also, I would recommend doing it a little bit more saltier or like a little bit more pepper than you would normally do, because we will be adding the dough and the flavor will be a tiny bit gone after some time, especially if you store it in the freezer. So yeah, I think we're good on mine. Elliot, you want to try it?
Perfect.
So for one portion, sometimes I just do one portion, then I do some of the most of the pierogis, and if we have filling left over, I will do more dough. So don't worry about doing everything right away. It's okay. You can for sure do more because it's so quick. For the first one, I use 500 grams of flour. It's gonna be most of it.
Mm-hmm.
And you also wanna add like a pinch of salt, which is like a teaspoon of salt.
Yeah.
Somewhere around that, because it's just flour, so you wanna have a little bit of taste. Mix it up. Add also a little bit of oil, and we're gonna put a little bit of oil. But before you start doing the dough, if you wanna eat it right away or freeze it, because also you can do that, I would highly recommend take a pot full of water, some salt, and some oil, and I'm gonna do it right now. So then you can just cook them for either eating or storing, and I will explain that in a second how to do both of them because they're different, depends on what you want to do. So we're adding the oil. It's like a spoonful. I like to measure everything exactly. I eyeball everything. Boop, boop, boop. Commercial break. Okay, you add 280 millimeters or grams. It's the same. Oh no.
What?
Okay, because there was a fork in it.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And you probably want to do everything right away, because then it's really hard to add more when you're working on it. So, just so you know. And a little bit more. What I do, I always have a fork to not put my hands in the boiling water, and you just mix it up, and because you don't have to necessarily knead it so much, so you want to just do this.
While Gabby's mixing all the dough together, it's time for another fun fact. We, in the States, love to call these things pierogis, and that actually is a mistake. That's a very wrong way to say it, because one of the little dumplings in Polish is called a pieróg, and multiple of them are called pierogi. So we're taking something that's multiple and adding an S and making it multiple again. However, I think this is kind of okay, because Poles do this with a million English words. For example, potato chips in Polish, chipsy. They took chips and made it multiple. Jeans in Polish, jeansy. They took a jeans and made it multiple. So we kind of do that both to each other, back and forth.
And after some time, when you cannot mix it more, you want to knead it a little bit so it's all mixed well. But be careful, because you just added hot water, so don't burn yourself. Just needed to incorporate all the stuff. You don't need to knead for a long time, because it's gonna get harder and not fun. Then you just cover it with the towel. First, you take a little bit, like a bowl of it. You cover the towel so it's not gonna get dry. And now we're gonna roll this part. Now you take a little bit of flour, sprinkle, put decent amount so it doesn't stick, And now just roll it. And try to do it in like circly kind of a thing, because it's gonna be easier to cut it later. But it doesn't matter, to be honest. So the dough should be like a centimeter thick. What is this?
I'll put that up on the screen.
Like how much is it for you in inches?
That's why I'm gonna say I need to put it up on the
Cool.
screen.
So a centimeter, if you know what it is, you can have it. It's just quite thin. So now we're gonna cut the dough into circles, and Elliot has fun
Yes,
facts.
so when Gabby first taught me how to make these, she would usually take just a glass that you drink with and make little circles of the glass and then do everything by hand. That went horrible for me. I was so bad at it that I went on the internet and found a little mold to make these, which was perfect, because on the back end, it's got just a little thing that you can cut with, and then you put them inside, fold it, done. Gabby still likes to do them by hand because Gabby's a traditionalist and is amazing at it.
I just learned that way, and it's way easier for me than using that, so.
You guys should probably be able to find something like this on Amazon. If not, take any sort of mold that you have for something like ravioli or Japanese dumplings, Chinese dumplings, stuff like that. The general shape and size is pretty similar.
Now you take the dough and you put the remainings into the bowl with the first. You just do like tiny little bowl, don't need it too much, and just put it there so it can rest in a warm temperature. And now you take the one circle, you take the side that is less sticky or has, more sticky and has less flour. Sometimes they're both the same, so it doesn't matter, but make sure there's no flour, and then stretch it a little bit, just like that. Now you're gonna take spoonful, maybe less, like this. Elliot is probably showing. And now what I'm gonna do is just first close it, just pinch it, pinch it, pinch it. Yep, that was too much. If you have too much filling, you can either take away, as I do, and shove it in, and then try to close the thing. The problem with what I did is a perfect example what you should not do, because now we have a spinach between the dough and it's gonna probably open. So what I'm gonna do is, first of all, clean my hands. So what I'm gonna do to make sure that it doesn't open and the filling doesn't go out is take it and just like do a fun thing that I learned. Actually, this is terrible pierog, so you can never eat it right away. But it's okay. Happy little mistakes, as a Bob Ross said. Oh my gosh, I usually do better. I don't know what happened.
You want to try again?
No, I don't care. So, if you have your funky little pierog, I'm gonna show you in a second how to actually do it. I just put way too much filling. So, if you want to eat it right away, what you do is you take it in, you put it in your boiling water. Ours is not boiling, but it's warm enough. You wait for it to go up. You wait then a minute, and then you can eat it. I usually put a little bit of butter on, and it's perfect. And that's how you make them if you want to eat them right away. We're gonna in a second show you how to prep for freezing them. And if they're not going up, I would say just mix them around gently, because probably they might be stuck to the bottom, and that's why they're not floating.
So Gabby just showed you how to do one of these by hand, but if you're a lazy guy like me, I'm going to teach you how to use your fancy little mold. Just in the same way that Gabby said, you take the sticky side of the dough and make sure that goes up on top of the mold. Press it down just a little bit so you can get it fitting in there. You're going to take your spoon, put a little bit of filling on the inside. Perfect. And then this is really easy. All you're gonna do is go 1, 2, 3, close it, give it a good squeeze. I definitely put too much, just so it gets a good seal like that. And fancy, you've got this wonderful little thing. Sometimes if there's a little bit of liquid coming out, I will just do the same thing that Gabby did and come around here and actually pinch it off with my fingers.
So basically, this is how you make pierogis. We're gonna quickly tell you how to prep them to freeze, and that's gonna be it for today. And this is how you do it. So you do your normal pierogis, you put them in the water, and you boil them just for 20 seconds. Because you just want the dough to be...
to get a good seal.
Yeah, get a good seal, and that's it. You don't want them actually cook. And then once you boil them, you put them on a...
Parchment paper.
Parchment paper, on a flat surface, on a whatever you want. Let them sit and cool down. And when they're like room temperature, you just put them in the freezer, and you can store them for even a couple months. They're gonna be fine. And then when you wanna use them or eat them, you just do the same as we did, in the sense of you boil the water, put a little bit of salt, a little bit of oil, and then put them once they are floating 1 minute, and they should be good
to go.
Yeah.
This is great because, as you can see, making these by hand is a decent amount of work. So when Gabby and I like to make them, we make, I'm not kidding, hundreds of them because they're inexpensive and they keep for forever. But then you just have in one entire drawer of your freezer a bunch of very different kinds of pierogi that you can heat up and eat in 2 or 3 minutes. It's really great, really easy, and they're super delicious.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this. We enjoyed this. It was so fun for us to do. So as Elliot said, if you want more things like that, we will be happy to do more of those. Just tell us in the comments or whatever, and we will try to do it.
Absolutely. We want to use these updates not just to tell you guys what's going on in our life, but also show you a little bit of Poland, Polish culture, and what we do on the day to day. So thank you guys as always for your prayers and support. It means the world to us. Hope you enjoyed this, and see you next time.
Bye.